Welcome back to Brand Champions. I'm Howard Wolpoff, your host. Again, this is brought to you by Teal, the agency. And we're going to be talking branding with two great guests we have today. We have Jim Cobb from the Bloodbound Group and Mark Michelson from CX Forums. Gentlemen, welcome to our conversation today.
Thank you for having us.
Nice to be here.
So, Jim, let's start with you. When it comes to branding, you have a lot of different conversations with different clients. What do you feel is the most important thing a company should know and think about coming into that first conversation with an agency to talk about branding?
Well, we always focus on how much they know about the customer. The customer relationship's everything, and you have to build a bond with that. And, our scope of work really depends on how much they know about their customer and how they behave with relationship to the product they get ready to sell.
Yes, having customer focus is very important, and really understanding who your avatar is to be really helps that direction of creating the brand. Now, with the different technologies that are out today and different platforms, what are some of the places that you are really utilizing to help strengthen the brands of your clients?
Well, in our case, a lot of the work that we do, we use neuroscience techniques. We did develop a lot of research with detailed focus groups and or one-on-one interviews to really understand the emotional drivers with the client. And in some cases, if we'll actually use EEG research where we test brain waves, and that gives us some reads on how well people respond to the various various concepts.
Which is really a very strong way to get a sense of what direction is working and should be going into for your clients. And getting those opinions are extremely valuable. And that really is a great segue to Mark, where you have a platform for opinions, putting different companies together to have these conversations, how to better themselves. How did the CX Forum develop?
I was helping out run the Southeast region for CXPA, which is a trade association for customer experience professionals, and came up with an idea to do a TED Talks kind of thing. It worked out well. A lot of other groups there. There was about 120 people first meeting. Was approached by about 18 other associations who were there that wanted to do it as a full day program. So we started doing that back in 2016. New York, Chicago, Boston, DC, Atlanta, Austin, Dallas. And did it, of course, COVID hit, so then we started doing things online. But CX is a very interesting subset compared to my normal work, which is research. Much broader. It's much more related to brand management and meeting the expectations that come because of the brand communications and past experiences, things like that.
Having that level of research is very important, because some companies have just a thought and idea. Some have been around for a while. Some are similar to other companies, and really have to figure out different ways to speak their strengths, but also differentiate themselves. How deep do you go into your research with these companies to really help develop the messaging and statement of who they are that you help them develop?
Depends on when I'm invited in. If it's a startup or something, we're going to go from square one. If it's a IBM trying to come up with something new, that takes a lot longer roadmap. But usually it's going to come down to what is the customer trying to achieve, right? So you make sure you understand their needs thoroughly. And just like Jim, we do the focus group and interviews, but also a lot of ethnography and what's known as mobile ethnography. People tell their own stories on an ongoing basis. So we're doing, for instance, makeup. And we want women to show us what their makeup routines are daily, in the morning, after working out, in the evening, etc. Just to understand what products they're using and how they're using them. Now, do they relate it back to brand? That's the question. Is the brand getting credit?
It's a great question. It's a strong question, but so is telling stories and making sure that you are finding the best way to share your story. Jim, with the clients that you have, how best are you utilizing the storytelling and the stories that these companies have about themselves and about the clients that they're working with?
Well, every customer has their own personal story, and you have to be relevant to that, completing that story. The brand completes their story in a relevant way, and so usually that storyline has some emotional underlying uh, factor which creates meaning. What the brand means to them is typically emotional, and so we really look for storylines that tap into that emotional story that completes the customer's journey, really. And sometimes that's, you find insights that you never would expect that connect the customer and the brain.
It's a lot of things that do come up and a lot of things to learn when you really are diving deep into these stories and into research for these companies. And it's great that there's both a symmetry of the work that you both do. And it's great to have that as part of what makes a company strong from working with you and spending time giving them the right focus. So thank you both for joining us today and for helping tell your stories of how you work with businesses and brands.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And thank you all very much for joining us as well. Having the right brand, having the right story that you have the ways to tell, that you've developed, you know exactly what you want to speak to your audience, knowing who your audience is, all very important parts to branding to keep in mind as you are going in the direction of building your business, rebuilding your brand, and telling your story. So go out, have a great rest of today, and we will see you next time.